Hi, folks. My name's Raven Moffett, and I'm going to be your professor for Art 105 this semester. This is my welcome video to the class. I apologize. I'm a little bit under the weather, so I'm not looking or sounding my best, but I wanted to make sure to get this recorded with plenty of time. Sorry, I've got some tea going. Um, the reason it's so beautiful and green behind me is I'm also recording this from my part-time home in Scappoose, Oregon. I split my time between Scappoose and Tucson, so um, I'm often kind of tr in travel, but am always accessible by email. I teach for Pima exclusively online, so that means I do not have a physical um, office, and I don't have set office hours because my online classes are very flexible and sometimes have odd hours that I need to be attending to them. And then I myself am finishing my PhD for University of Arizona, and I'm also a pottery instructor. So I have kind of a bizarro schedule. And that's all just to say up front that I am more than happy to meet with you all. It will just have to be via Zoom. And the way you go about doing that is email me, which I'll show you my email in just a second, and let me know you want to meet, and then suggest a couple of days and times that work well for you. And then hopefully we'll both have, we can work something out. I like to say that up front because I know it's different maybe from some other professors, particularly if you are taking some in-person classes. Um, Boy, I don't think I even said, I did say my name. I'm Raven Moffett. My pronouns are they, them. You can just call me Raven, Professor Raven if you want to. Um, and like I said, I'm working on my PhD in American Indian Studies for University of Arizona. I have my Master's of Fine Arts, which was also from University of Arizona. My focus was in photo, video, and imagery, but I am also a ceramicist. I do some felt work. I do a lot of natural dye. I've done quite a bit of installation work, and then have also worked in several museums in lots of different capacities in curatorial spaces, exhibition, installation, visitor relations, education, basically all the above. I've had at least a short stint doing that work. And I am really passionate about art history. I'm particularly passionate about a well-rounded art history. This course is going to be just kind of like your basic crash course getting established in that. But I highly recommend that you, if this is a passion of yours or you see a career in this, you take further classes. I also really always want to recommend that people take classes that are new or unique to them or that they don't see offered very often. For example, my area of focus is contemporary Indigenous art, particularly art of Native peoples of Turtle Island or the North American continent. And that historically is not represented well in curriculum. That said, it's definitely something we're going to hit on very briefly in this class. If you'd like to know more, please feel free to email me. But other classes have that, whether you're staying here at Pima or you might be transferring to ASU or U of A. So with all of that context about who I am, I guess the one last thing I'll say about myself is that um, my other passion in education and life is working with animals, and particularly dogs. Um, I do canine behavior work, and I also have three pups of my own. They're all sleeping here next to me, which is why I'm looking off screen. And then I also have some chickens, some quail, mice that were rescue mice, and some bugs, a vinegaroon, and some death feigning beetles. So I always love hearing about people's animals. I think there's often some intersection between art and people wanting to take pictures or make images of their pets. So I'm all about it. Please share. All right, that's all about me. Now I'm going to share screen and we're going to take a look at what's going on with this class. Before I take you into our class portal, I'm showing you my D2L home screen just to say I teach three versions of this class. So please, 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 when you email, note the CRN because I could be trying to email, it could be late at night, or I could be trying to answer your question as quickly as possible. And I'm a human being, so I could make a mistake and think you're in a different class and give you information that's incorrect about a due date or things like that. So very helpful if you let me know which course offering you are in. Sorry, my hound just stood up. Please don't howl, buddy. Um, this is what your landing page is going to look like. I have a welcome announcement here. Please read through this. Some of it will be repeated from what I'm saying now, but others of it will be very helpful in navigating D2L. It's also just going to be kind of like a quick resource, if you think you need a quick reminder. My email is listed in this written welcome message. And then this video will be posted as the next announcement as a link. And it just helps with accessibility, helps you get to see me, and having things reiterated, helps them stick. So the next thing you're going to go to is our syllabus tab. And if you've been with Pima for a while, you know that there was a little bit of a shift last year from instructors doing their own syllabi and uploading them as like PDFs or Word docs to D2L. Now we're working with this really helpful platform that embeds in D2L. That said, every once in a while, I have had issues with it not releasing to students on time. If that's going to be a case for this class, you'll be seeing lots of messages from me in the landing page on announcements. But if that's the case, watching this video will be very helpful because I'm going to walk you through all the key parts of this syllabus. This is a 3-credit-hour course. We're going to start September 4th and we're going to end December 14th. Please make note of these very critical deadlines. The drop refund audit pops up really quick after the start, so it'll be September 16th. If you have not engaged in class by that point, you will be automatically dropped. And then if you're going along great and then you have, life happens, something gets in the way and you're not where you want to be in this class, I highly recommend if you feel overwhelmed, withdrawing by November 11th and taking the class again. I'm teaching 3 offerings of this course this semester, and I'm only one professor. And so there are, I would venture to say, at least 100 options to take this class, spread, across all different Pima campuses and whether it's online or in person. So it's a very popular class. We try to make it very accessible. If you're not where you want to be in it, try again. We're going to be totally online, no in-person things, but that does not mean that it's entirely self-paced. You have weekly things that are due, and you need to not only be logging on to D2L, but actively engaging work and submitting work, or else you will not be marked present. So please remember that. Again, this is my email. Again, I don't have an in-person office on any campus. So if you want to meet with me, I'm happy to. We're going to use a Zoom link. I have this as my, this is kind of like my Zoom room. But if you email me and you want to meet and talk about something, I generally will make a specific link for you and I and for that meeting. And that is because I want to protect your privacy. This link, sometimes I have students wander in there, and I don't, if we're talking about something, I want to respect your privacy. So I just send a separate one, but that's kind of like a placeholder. Excuse me. This is all things that when you signed up in the class. This is a 14-week class, which means you should be averaging around 10 hours of work per week. Things that you're going to need to be successful in this class. Sorry, I had a sneeze coming. Are some notebook paper, some drawing paper, a pen and pencil, potentially more different types of art making materials. We have one hands-on art making assignment, and it is a self-portrait assignment, and it's very open to whatever materials you have available to you or would like to work with. But those are just some good starting ones. A camera or a smartphone for taking pictures. Um, I'll ask that you take some pictures of artwork that you're interested in. I'll ask that you sometimes take a selfie, or if you're uncomfortable with that, you don't have to, but you'll need to take an image at an event or at a museum for some assignments. And then to get to those museums, you will need some sort of transportation. And so we have one museum field trip assignment, and then there is an extra credit assignment that would require you to go to another art event or gallery. And when you do those, always make sure you're doing your research ahead of time. You pick out where you want to go. You look up where it is, you look up the hours, you look up any associated cost. Not all museums charge admission, but some do. A lot of them have discounts for students or in-state residents. So look into that. If you have an EBT card, often they'll reduce that admission or waive it entirely. Um, but do your research before you go, and then make sure that you have reliable transportation to get there. If you're not driving yourself, ask a buddy or bike or look into public transportation. That said, all my resources for those assignments in terms of what museums and galleries are consistently good and would work well are based out of Pima County because that is where this college is based out of. But students are accessing these online classes from all over the world. So, um, I should not have to travel to Pima County if you're not located there to do these assignments. You should be looking at your local art scene, and I really support that. But that means you need to do your own research and you need to approve those changes with me. So, for example, I had a student a couple semesters ago who lived in Seoul, South Korea, and so for those assignments, he just emailed me saying with two potential museums he was thinking about going to, asking which one I thought might be best. Both of them looked great. So I said, go to whichever one you're most interested in. And that's just how you would do it. So, let's say you live in Tulsa and you're new to the scene there or you don't know museums, you're just going to do a Google search. You're going to do your own research. You're going to find some art museums that you think would work. Then you're going to email me and say, Professor, are these good? 80 out of 100 times, I'm going to say yes, absolutely. Occasionally, I do get people who are totally understandable, but trying to be a little bit creative with the assignment and might suggest a museum that's maybe more of a science museum or a children's museum. And while I think those are beautiful institutions and you should definitely go, they probably won't work for these assignments. You want to look for visual art museums. Um, so that's why I have people email me. All right. That's it. These are other options for materials you could be using for your hands-on self-portrait. Um, like I said, email me. Always happy to respond to email. The one thing that I won't probably be very helpful with is if you are having a technological issue with D2L. If you're having that and it's preventing you from submitting work, please email me and let me know. But I cannot facilitate D2L to work for you. I am not a tech person. So if you are struggling with D2L, you either need to reach out to these links for the D2L Brightspace help or Pima's tech support, which is also a link on our page, and I'll show you that in just a second. These are our learning outcomes. This is how your grade is determined. So there are 760 available points in class. That seems like a whole lot, but please don't disregard the smaller assignments. If you disregard them consistently, you can still very easily fail. So they can really make or break, if you're on the cusp between an A or a B, 10 points can make that difference. So be consistent with your work, be on top of things, be checking the schedule. If you slip up and miss a week, it's not going to impact you too greatly. But if you're consistently missing items, don't think that you can just kind of submit our more heavily weighted ones like the hands-on self-portrait and the museum field trip and be okay, because that's not the case. Um, Again, these are our important dates for the class. I already named them, so I'm gonna scoot on through. I'm going to say this another time because it's still so important. Your participation and your attendance grade are tied to your not just logging on to D2L, but submitting work. And the thing that really correlates to that is quizzes. You will have weekly quizzes. Sometimes you'll have 2 quizzes in one week. Not super often with this 14-week schedule, but every once in a while. And so if you miss a week, and you miss a quiz, not only are you missing points for that quiz, but you're also not getting marked present for that day. So it's just very important that you stay on top of stuff and be emailing me if you're struggling. I already talked about the field trip situation, but here it is reiterated. Of course, because this is a fully online asynchronous class, consistent access to a computer or laptop or whatever device you're using to access D2L is critical. And then also consistent internet connectivity. Our first assignment is going to be a course contract quiz, which is basically you agreeing to all the things on this syllabus. So watch this video, read the syllabus on your own time, and then do that, and you're gonna get some points that are very easy. Excuse me. So just a note about AI. I am not going to accept any work that just came straight out of an AI generator, be that image or text. That's plagiarism and that's not going to fly. And it's actually, I know there's a lot of dialogue about, oh, it's hard to tell. It's really not, especially when you're a professor and you see it all the time. And when you're someone who works in academia and uses those tools. So I actually do use some generative AI tools, such as one mentioned up here, Grammarly in particular, although I also sometimes use ChatGPT. And the way I use them is to edit my work. So I'm writing a dissertation. It's a 300-page document. Sometimes I've been writing for like 10 hours in a day and I can't think or see straight. And I just need a little bit of feedback about is my spelling and punctuation and grammar correct? So I will feed not all 300 pages, but sections of my dissertation into Grammarly, which is something that works within your document as you're typing. So that helps me, or ChatGPT, and just check it for good flow, grammar, readability. And that has been very helpful. And so if I am receiving things from you that don't have correct grammar, punctuation, and spelling, I'm going to dock you points because this is an academic institution and you need to be writing correctly. But also, that's just, you have so many tools to not have that happen. Please use them. The other way that I think it can be helpful to use those tools as students is if you're having some real creative blocks and you don't know how to start an assignment, you could type the assignment and your rough ideas into ChatGPT, for example, and see what kind of rough outline or ideas ChatGPT came up with. You cannot use those ideas directly, but it can be the first step in brainstorming. So, that's how you're allowed to use that. If you are using an AI tool in this class, you need to cite it appropriately using MLA or APA. If you don't, I will dock you points. These are some college policies. They are accessible outside of the syllabus. I have already said this. You need to be actively participating in class or you will be dropped during the add drop period and you will not be counted present if you drop off later on. These are some resources which are phenomenal. And then the number one resource I want to highlight is our department head, Mariana Carreras, amazing. So if you need anything that's kind of above me, more departmental, Mariana is the person to contact. She is managing an entire department. So unlike me, who I aim to respond as quickly as possible to emails, give Mariana a little bit more time and leeway with her responses. Okay, so that's the syllabus. I'm going to try to wrap this video up here so you're not watching this for forever, but I just want to show you how you're going to go through the course. You're going to look at the syllabus, make sure everything makes sense. Then you're going to go to content and down to the welcome module. And then you can just click on the first available thing. You're going to read through this, watch this video, become acquainted, and then you just go down to the bottom and you click the right button. It's kind of like reading a book. So go through all of that. The number one thing that I want you to pay attention to on this, as well as your syllabus and course contract quiz, is the schedule of work. You have the deadlines for every activity in this class already set up. I've already given you all of those. So probably my number one pet peeve as an instructor for this course is when people say, I didn't know the deadline, because that's false. You had all the resources you just ignored it. Or you forgot, which is understandable. So if that happens, just be honest and move on. If you have a technological malfunction where your computer explodes or D2L crashes, then email me and we can work on an extension or other things. But just forgetting you're not going to get an extension out of just forgetting. The other thing to note is if D2L is giving you a hard time, but email is working for you, email your assignment to me before it's due. Because then I'll just grade it from email. So you have lots of tools and you have all the information about when things are due already on this very detailed schedule. Things are always due at 11:30 p.m. on the date that they're listed. I will be grading things like your discussion posts and your bigger assignments, hopefully as you submit them. But the quizzes, I do not release those grades until the due date, after the due date's passed. So just know that. And then, as well as having due dates, this schedule is really helpful because it walks you through everything you need to do to succeed in those assignments. So again, I welcome emails. Please do email me. But before you email me, look at all of the resources you have. Look through D2L, look at your syllabus, look at the schedule of work, and if you have questions about a particular assignment, like let's say I'm going to go to Module 3, I'm going to scroll down the Elements and Principles assignment. This is actually maybe a bad example. Oh no, okay, good. Generally, if you click on them, there's these assignment overviews, and it walks you through all the components that I'm asking for, and the assignment guidelines are embedded. So again, before you email me, check out all this. And if you're still unclear or you feel like there's a discrepancy, then email me. Would love to chat. All right, I think that is it for this welcome email. I'm going to stop sharing. Look forward to this semester with you all. And yeah, email me if you have any questions.